Hi, welcome back. It's Miss Lavoti, and we're going to be creating a digital cupcake painting using Medibang Paint. This is my reference photograph that I'll be using. We created these in class, and this is the final outcome digital painting that we're aiming to achieve. Like I said, we'll be using Medibang Paint in this demonstration. You're going to make a new canvas that is letter size. The height and width of your canvas size should correspond to if your reference photograph is vertical or horizontal. If you didn't take a photo in class, now is a good time to Google image search one that you'd like to use. Lesson 1, Layer 1, Sprinkles and Toppings. Since our painting project that we were going to do in class was based on the process of using an underpainting, which establishes all the light and dark values in a painting, we are also going to use a black and white image underneath in order for us to paint on top of. Eventually this layer will be removed. We are going to be adding color over our black and white layer. You will see that I am going to extract the line art for this project. Once I have my canvas opened up, I am going to be importing my photo by clicking the plus sign in the layer menu and selecting my image to add. And this time I'm going to extract the line art so I have a black and white image. This is not going to get protected, so click Don't Protect. And I am using this black and white image because it is showing me where my values of colors are. At this point, you should also immediately click in the upper left-hand corner and click to create a new save of your project, so it will appear in the gallery space if you have to stop working. Our next step is going to set up split screen on your iPad so we can view your reference photo and Medibang Paint at the same time. If you've never tried split screen before, gently with your finger pull up from the bottom of your screen until you see your menu dock. Find the photos icon. Since you last opened your reference photograph, your photos icon should be visible on your dock. Then you're going to hold the photos icon until it allows you to drag it to the left or right of your screen, where you can place it down and then adjust how much of the screen you'd like to take up with it. You should be able to see your reference photo and use Medibang Paint simultaneously. If this process does not work for you, then you can look up the colors on another device and look at your photo from maybe a phone. Or if you would like to, you can be more inventive and simply make up the colors and choose to do something on your own. To make sure that your paintbrush tool is set correctly, select the acrylic paintbrush tool and make sure that the opacity slider of this brush is at 30%. The color layer that you're going to work in needs to be on top of the black and white photo layer, and your color layer should have 60 to 40% opacity so you can see through it. Remember, you can reach the opacity slider in the top of the layer box. So what you're seeing me do here is I have dragged my photos icon and I have selected it and I have decided how much of the screen I'd like my photos to take up. So now I can see my color reference photo while I am working. So I have a color layer above my black and white layer where I am starting to add color into. So I'm going to work on the lollipop first. I'm going to find the color red that I'd like the lollipop to be. In my paintbrush tool, I am in the acrylic brush paintbrush setting, and I have the opacity of my paintbrush tool at 30%, and I have the opacity of the layer that I'm working in at maybe 60 to 40%, depending on how much I want to see through to it. I am applying the red with my paintbrush using gentle paintbrush strokes to find the edges and fill the color in where it belongs. You can use white to add highlights to your objects. So zoom in and select white from your color picker, make a smaller paintbrush size, and layer white right on top of the color you just painted in, so that way we can see all of the shine and all of the texture on your candy. So I'm only putting white where I see shapes of really bright highlight spaces. Even if an area of your painting has white space, use the paintbrush tool with the color white selected and add white to those areas in your painting. We still want to paint things in white because those are still solid areas that would need to block out our backgrounds eventually. So if we don't paint them in, then they will become invisible looking. Using the same color layer, find another piece of candy that you can add color to. Notice that I still have my color layer selected, so I'm not working in my photograph. And this time I'm selecting a light green to add over the light gray areas, and I'll select a dark green to add in over the darker areas. It's okay if you notice your color is looking like it is kind of grayed out. That's because you're seeing through to the values of the photograph underneath, so that's supposed to be happening. Notice I'm laying in the darker green colors over the darker gray colors. This is going to let my digital painting appear a little bit more three-dimensional. I can put that same dark green a little heavier over the even darker values that I see. I am painting with lighter green now over those same areas, and I'm going to cover even where the highlights belong, because I can go back in with white and I can add more detailed highlights where I need to see them. So here I'm zooming in, I'm using a smaller paintbrush size, and I'm going to start to add some details into the highlight brighter spaces of this piece of candy. I'm going to follow the same procedure to color inside of the sprinkles. I'm going to use a smaller paintbrush size so that way it can get more detailed. I'm going to select the color from the color picker that is needed for the sprinkle that I'm working inside of. I'm going to color in the entire shape of the sprinkle, and then later I can use a tinier paintbrush tool and the white to add in the highlights on top of it. So I'm just going in and I'm overlaying color onto each of the sprinkles, trying to pick a color that corresponds to its value of gray. The lighter the color sprinkle, the more vibrant the color will appear later. Make sure you're saving your work frequently. Let's take a look at what your work looks like. Exit out of split screen mode. Bring your opacity of your sprinkle layer to 100% and hide your photo layer. Take a screenshot. This shows me your progress from today. You will be uploading your screenshot that should show me your entire workspace, including your layers and your brush settings, so that way I can see how your color layer has progressed. Notice that the reference photo layer is hidden in my screenshot. This is really important because in the end of the project, we are not going to allow the photo layer to be visible. We want to be left only with your color layer. You do not need to go any further today in your work. If you were able to color in a few pieces of candy or a few sprinkles on the top of your cupcake in this new color layer, then you have achieved today's goal. Thank you, and submit your work by 6 p.m.